John Dewey is an American philosopher and educator who was a co-founder of the philosophical movement known as pragmatism, a pioneer in functional psychology and innovative theories of democracy, and the leader of the progressive movement in education in the United States.
Dewey was born in Burlington, Vermont on October 20, 1859 to Archibald Dewey, a merchant, and Lucina Rich Dewey. Dewey was the third of four sons. The first, Dewey's namesake, died in infancy. He grew up in Burlington, was raised in the Congregationalist Church, and attended public schools. Dewey graduated with a bachelor's degree from the University of Vermont in 1879. After receiving a doctorate in philosophy from Johns Hopkins University in 1884, he began teaching philosophy and psychology at the University of Michigan. There, his interest gradually shifted from the philosophy of George Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel to the new experimental psychology being advanced in the United States by G. Stanley Halland, the pragmatist philosopher and psychologist William James. Further study of child psychology prompted Dewey to develop a philosophy of education that would meet the needs of a changing democratic society. In philosophy, Dewey's philosophical treatises were at first inspired by his reading of philosopher and psychologist William James, writing Dewey's philosophy known as experimentalism or instrumentalism, largely centered on human experience, rejecting the more rigid ideas of transcendentalism to which Dewey had been exposed in academia. It viewed ideas as tools for experimenting with the goal of improving the human experience. Dewey's philosophy also claimed that man behaved out of habit and that change often lead to unexpected outcomes. As man struggled to understand the results of change, he was forced to think creatively in order to resume control of a shifting environment. For Dewey, thought was the means through which man came to understand and connect with the world around them. A universal education was the key to teaching people how to abandon their habits and think creatively.
Being nature and experience. In order to develop and articulate his philosophical system, Dewey first needed to expose what he regarded as the flaws of the existing tradition. He believed that the distinguishing feature of Western philosophy was its assumption that true being, that which is fully real or fully knowable, is changeless, perfect, eternal, and the source of whatever reality the world of experience may possess. Nature and the construction of ends. Dewey developed a metaphysics that examined characteristics of nature that encompassed human experience but were either ignored by or misrepresented by more traditional philosophers. Three such characteristics are what he called the precarious, histories, and ends, were central to his philosophical project. The last one is education reform. Dewey was a strong proponent for progressive educational reform. He believed that education should be based on the principle of learning through doing. In 1894, Dewey and his wife Harriet started their own experimental primary school, the University Elementary School, at the University of Chicago. His goal was to test his educational theories but Dewey resigned when the University of President fired Harriet. In the 1930s, after he retired from teaching, Dewey became an active member of numerous educational organizations, including the New York Teachers Guild and the International League for Academic Freedom.